want to talk a little bit about what it is to be a values voter. I'm a values voter. Okay, what is a values voter? A values voter is a person of faith and a person who holds to a certain set of principles, and they enact those principles, those values, as part of their vote. Um, I know, speaking for me, I vet each candidate when it comes to any election very carefully. I want to know where they stand on issues like abortion, same sex marriage, um, anything that might go against my faith. You know, what do they feel about prayer in schools? Where do they stand on the First Amendment, Second Amendment, 10th Amendment? Things like this are important. If you're a person of faith, if you're a person of deep religious convictions, it's very important that you make your voice heard. We've seen the last several elections that people of faith sat it out. They didn't think their voice mattered anymore. Or what I fear, this is what I fear, and I don't know how close I am to the truth, but I think that I may be onto something. Some just didn't vote their values. They didn't vote those things that they go in and they say glory, glory to on Sunday morning. They go out there from Monday to Saturday and they're not thinking about those values and those principles on Sunday morning they're claiming they stand for. And if that's you, if I just stepped on your toes, good. Because you should never be comfortable, you know, overlooking your values or what you say your values are. And if you're in church on a Sunday morning, but you don't hold to values that are in line with a Christian God, then are they truly your values? Are they truly your principles? Something to think about. You know, God is God all the time. He doesn't change from Monday morning to Saturday evening. He's God 24/7. Um, I'm not going to preach much more on that. I'm just going to say that's a little something that has stuck in my craw, because what box do you decide to put God in? My God will be involved in everything that affects my life, and that includes my vote. Again, I'm going to stop right there because I could really roll with that. But I won't. I'm backing the We Vote with God campaign because I'm seeing what's going on in this nation. The things that have happened since they've done things like take prayer out of school, that vacuum that was created. A vacuum needs to be filled. So what filled that vacuum in the schools? Guns, drugs, gangs. And you could say, well, those things aren't directly related. I would argue that. I say they are. Our nation isn't what it used to be. The great Ronaldus Maximus, Ronald Reagan, he said that the First Amendment was not written to protect the government from people of faith, but to protect people of faith from a tyrannical government. And we've got a government now that rejects the First Amendment with impunity. How can they do that? And we allow it. We allow it. And how are we allowing it? Because we're not getting out there and we're not mobilizing and we're not getting effective as far as getting our voice out there. I'm so happy that this We Vote with God movement is beginning to roll, because this is getting people in the churches registered, getting them to the polls. In between then, I hope these people in these churches are vetting the candidates and knowing where each candidate stands so you can properly place your vote. Um, I can't stress it enough that we have a powerful voice, that we are a force. If you are a values voter, if you are a Christian in this nation or a person of faith, you have a very powerful voice if it is unified and brought together. And if you want Washington to listen to us and to care about what we say, then stand up. Stand up and they will hear you, because those people want to keep their jobs. And we haven't been the best at forcing them to do their jobs or to pay attention to that First Amendment that protects our religious freedom. We're watching our religious freedoms be stripped away. Meanwhile, the family is broken. There's crime in the streets. The crime rate is going through the roof, and so much of it involves our children. Something needs to be done. It's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to reclaim our place in this nation that was built on Judeo-Christian values. These laws that were built on the Ten Commandments. I want to see the Ten Commandments back in schools and in courthouses. I want prayer back in school. At least let it be an option. I want to know that our children are learning a pledge of allegiance, because if they're not pledging allegiance to this nation that is their home, then where is their allegiance? I want to see Roe v. Wade overturned. I want those lives protected. I want Planned Parenthood defunded. No more of our tax dollars going to a butcher mill that sells the parts of unborn children, that take them from their mother's womb and butchers them up and sells them like a strip shop. And where's the government on this now? They're ignoring this largely because they're not afraid of our voice anymore, because we haven't become unified. And that's deplorable. I want people in Washington to be scared to death when they hear that values voters are rising up, that evangelicals are rising up in great. I want them to be scared to death. They used to be. They're not that worried about the evangelical vote anymore because we've just gone quiet. And that shouldn't be. They ought to have a dire respect for us. We're here in great numbers, but we need to use those numbers. We need to get registered. If you're 18 and up and you're not registered to vote yet, do it now. Do it today. Don't wait. Because you have a tool and a voice, and you can wield that with great power. That voice, you can make them listen in Washington. You can't say that you're happy with what's going on. Not if you hold any values, principles. You can't say that. This We Vote with God campaign that's rolling around, that comes to your church. If you hear about it, if you see about it out there on the internet, if you hear about it in your community, support it. As well as the We Stand with God pro-family rallies that are coming around. Support those rallies. Support this movement that was started so that this nation could get back to the values that we were founded on. No, I don't want a theocracy, because a theocracy doesn't work, because I know that's what some are going to say. Somebody always brings that up. Let me tell you the difference. There's two things. There is trickle down theocracy, and then there's a bubble up theocracy. A trickle down theocracy is when a leader of a nation is of a certain faith and he forces those underneath him to comply with that faith. And that's not what I want. That's not what I want, because we see that in Saudi Arabia and Iran. I don't want that kind of nation. Now, a bubble up theocracy is when the families are banded together, built on a foundation of values and principles. You know, the parents teach it to the children take it out into the streets, into the schools, they take it into the businesses, they take it out, and it just wells up from the grassroots, wells up, and then as a natural result, our government is affected by it and moved by it. That's bubble up theocracy. And that's what I would dearly love to see happen in this nation again. Revival, revival, a turning back to God, and a turning back to our values. And like I said, we've never been perfect. I'm not claiming that there was any golden age in this nation where everybody was just angelic, because there's always been some kind of trouble, some kind of trouble, but nothing like what we see now. And I feel like we can still get back to this greatness that we had, this thing that made us a nation where everybody, you know, that getting to America was the ideal, and we were strong in the world because we had a strong core. And right now we're just weak and pathetic because of lack of values voters. People did not vote their principles in the last two elections. They did not vote their values. And we got what we got today. But we have a chance to turn it back. We have a chance to turn that tide back. And we need to now, because we may not get another chance. So if you see in this video, support the We Vote with God campaign. Support the We Stand with God pro-family rallies. Let's get back to where we were. Let's make this nation a great nation, built on a firm foundation again. Thank you. God bless.